I have to say, Akane-san and Murahara, based on this episode, based on episode two, I made friends with the prettiest girl. I made friends with the second prettiest girl, basically in the class. I have to definitely just say, I think Mara Kun is really playing his cards right, and or I will say definitely that he really actually is, and really trying not to make a really not a public scene to basically to embarrass himself to full extension to really actually to basically do this. One thing I want to mention here that is something that's very important, and I think that people really needs to understand here is that, for one, I want to say here is basically that if Marhula can, if he really wants to have this relationship with basically with Abdul-San, or basically with the female girl, basically with the other female, basically Amari Yun, I would definitely say here is that he really needs to play not to play favorites and not to play this pity game that definitely is playing, because if he definitely does play these kind of these kind of these things that he's definitely doing, playing pity games or playing these mind games, or playing like whatever he wants to choose, whatever that he chooses that he wants to have favorites, is basically that he got to be careful. We got to be careful about where his narrow path is basically going to lead him down to, and stuff like that. I've said this back in many times before, back in my anime reviews and stuff like that. That when it comes to going to narrow paths and stuff like that, sometimes the path can take you from one way to the other way from the other, or straight, or maybe in the base of just going backwards, because you just really don't know where's that narrow path that you really basically really walk into. It doesn't really matters. It goes like for me, for you, I think for everyone, pretty much basically everyone else really actually is. But sometimes that narrow path that we're walking to, it's gonna wobble. It's gonna wobble. It's gonna lead you down to a much different path, or it could lead you down to the wrong path or the right path, or it's just basically going to lead you down to a narrow path that you really definitely want to go. So there's three paths that you definitely really want to choose. Either that basically to have the normal path, or basically have the right path, or basically have the wrong path. Or basically you could fall back behind, and think about the strategy basically definitely want. So I definitely will say here, it's kind of like saying when it comes to basically both of these girls, basically this anime, it's kind of like both of them are chocolate and vanilla. Really actually is. But you can only could choose one, but if you were to basically choose both, but you can't have both, because that means you'll be labeling yourself basically as a two-timer. Remember the anime? Remember the anime? I did an anime review based on there's no freaking way I'll be your lover unless. That's kind of like similar to basically the kind of like that, because I don't think the MC basically in this anime is basically kind of leads himself basically into a direction to become a two-timer in a scenario based of a kind of a way. It really actually is. A two-timer means that a person is basically dating two people all at once, or we'll say having a girlfriend, or having a boyfriend and a girlfriend, or basically a boyfriend, etc., etc., etc. And it really actually is. I talked about this basically in base of that, because basically to be honest with you, I really didn't agree with the whole idea of having two girlfriends and basically one person. Basically being a two-timer is not really the best route to basically definitely go. And personally, in my opinion, is that's basically what I definitely think. I just don't see. I just don't think that's not the similarity basically for what I want. But it could be bringing. It could be building a bridge of a circle to have your friends closer to have your friends closer, based off that way. Why is life is basically being rejected? Rejected is basically it's a similarity of basically how rejection really actually is. One person's definitely going to get rejected. One person's going to win the approval, and one person's basically going to eject the approval. It's kind of like basically the way how the government really actually plays. Like they play favorites when it comes to basically the economics based on the way of the economy that really actually is, and play in a role in the way how the people that live their lives and how they've been dictated, being ruled by under a tyrant, or I would say more just basically a tyrant, or I definitely say here is basically that. But when it comes to basically the leaders, basically of the nations, basically around the world, the leaders basically nations around the world, they all have their jurisdiction. What is their jurisdiction? Their jurisdiction is basically to rule, based for the country with the iron fist. But sometimes they'll say like, yeah, we're not gonna rule the world. Well, I'm not gonna rule my country, but based on an iron fist, iron fist. But I'm gonna do things a little bit more different to make people to think that, yeah, I am ruling in a much formal way as an iron fist. But if you really think about what the MC really is definitely doing, as I said before, he needs to play his cards right. And he really definitely needs to, and he really definitely does. If he can play his cards right, then he can gain the upper hand of basically what he really actually definitely doing. So when you look at basically when you're playing poker and basically just doing that, and when you have both of these girls are basically just right here at the angle of the table, and you're like right there, and one girl's right there, and one girl's right there, but there could be another person can come up into the shadows that comes want to play the game also as well too, to playing the punch me basically of a game, or let's say peekaboo I see you, or peekaboo I don't see you, basically in such a way. I definitely think that really but there's one person I definitely think there's maybe a very good possibility of a girl that would rise among the ranks to have her feet to basically the fort with the MC, and that's basically Nanachi-san. Because I definitely think Nanachi-chan is basically, she is curious. She's kind of like a cat, basically wander around, and she's kind of curious about what's going on and see what's happening and stuff like that. But sometimes usually a cat will just basically really don't care, or they just go wander off in the other direction. Usually, when it comes to cats are scared of humans. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're not really all that formal. Basically, when it comes to basically really actually others, and sometimes our cats are very cheerful, shy, angry, can get kind of doesn't like to be around people really that much. That's just the normal nature, basically the way the person really actually is. That's just how the person really actually is. That's just how the animal really actually is. That's just how the instincts are basically what they think that the person definitely really basically what they are. But when it comes to basically Akiko-san, basically in my case, basically with her, I think that she's afraid. I think that she's afraid that she's going to definitely get rejected by the MC also too. But I can also tell she seems like she can be a kind of person that can kind of get upset, because when her feelings get mixed up with some other different things, that is normal basically for a typical of a teenager to person definitely have. But sometimes it's typical when it comes to teenagers, they really don't recognize their feelings really all that much, but sometimes they get often very conflicted about what they see and what they know and how they perceive. But sometimes they really don't know how they should do or how they should proceed. Basis of that. If I had a son or basically a daughter, or basically if I had both a daughter and son, I would personally to basically have to talk with my son. I'd basically tell him like, you got to make your mind up what you want to do and how you want to proceed, what you want to do, and how you want to proceed, and basically in this form of way, and it's form of way to persons basically to have a relationship based with somebody who you basically that you really definitely want. That is something that you need to really definitely do. But I will warn him also as well too that worry about finishing school first, but not worrying about having a relationship can put too much damage based onto a moral based on a person as a teenager. Sometimes people can handle it, sometimes people cannot handle it. Sometimes it's way too much, and sometimes they say like, I need to finish up with school, I need to go ahead and go to college, I need to spend time with my friends, and then I can start worrying about having that relationship based impact. Basically, kind of what basically with me is basically that I'm a jumpy kind of needed kind of guy. I really want to have that relationship based with that one person. That's what I really definitely want. That's something I've really definitely always been admired for. But being rejected, it's not really fun. Really, it's not. But when it comes to Achi's son, based in her case, I think she's afraid that she's going to be rejected because she's not really basically the handpicked favorites basically for the MC. That's kind of like the handpicked favorites basically like a certain candy that you really want to get, a certain candy that you really want to get, whatever that certain candy that you really want to get. Sometimes that certain candy will probably say like, hey, pick me, pick me. No, pick me, pick me, pick me. You can just hear the little voices in your head and say what they're saying, like pick me, pick me. Or you probably could play the devil's advocate, the advocates, or I will say, definitely will say, or you probably would say have that little angel on your side, and guess what? You have that little devil on your side, and guess what? Who's right and who's wrong, and that really actually is. That can really morally matter in the spine of the morally matter in the spine of things to have that little self-conscious. When you have those self-conscious basic of that, the self-conscious of yourself as an angel on the side, they have that self-conscious of that the devil based on the side. And when you have that self-conscious, you probably will recognize like, who should I listen to? Listen to the devil or listen to the angel? Or should I just listen to what I need to make for myself? But as I said before, you have no self-consciousness based on the side right there. That's basically actually is. But I would say here is that I really definitely do think that Achi-san is definitely going to be the hands down, pretty much basically the favorites for the MC. I definitely think that she really actually is because she's been kind of promoted kind of pretty way too much basically in this anime, and I definitely think that she really actually is. But do I think there's going to become another girl that's going to rise among the ranks? I definitely do think so, because when it comes to basically in the military, when somebody comes rise among the ranks, it's become very wary basically for the person and say like, hey, this person is really kind of making its way up to the ranks, being high commander, general, colonel, possibly major or whatever, stuff like that. And when you basically see that, you probably will definitely would often basically ask yourself, that person has become pretty famous, and that person has become a very good prodigy amongst the ranks to basically to outrank the person. That's the whole society basic way of life for the IGS. Sometimes we are there to outrank other people. People play a ranking game to basically to be the best, and have the loser to not to be the best. And I think that's really it's definitely very important. Right, it's basically very important. Sometimes people definitely take that personally, and they take that very seriously, and they take that kind of level and that kind of scale really personally, really a lot. But I would definitely say when it comes to that ranking, of basic life, try to understand this. Sometimes you have to outrank somebody to be better, or I will say to be perfect, basically way. But yeah, anyways, that's it. That's it for this anime review. Tell me what you guys think. I want to hear you guys' opinion. But yeah, anyways, I'll see you guys later. Take care. Hope you guys have a good day. Don't forget to subscribe. Please consider subscribing. Please like one. Give me a thumbs up or give me a thumbs down. Doesn't matter to me. Please leave a comment below. I would love for you guys to tell me how you guys feel about the video. My video, if the volume's too loud or too low or whatever it is, or stuff like that. But yeah, anyways, I'll see you guys there. Take care. I hope you guys have a fun day. I'll see you guys there. I love you guys, and I hope you guys have a blessed day, and I'll see you guys there. Take care.